This is Up and to the Right, conversations on startups, tech, and design, brought to you by GoTime. Hey, Constantine, thanks for joining me here. I just wanted to speak to you as a founder and also as a designer, just to learn more about how that's just kind of a unique mix of founder, CEO, designer, kind of rare. And so I found it very intriguing. So I just wanted to dive into that. So thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me today. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more about what you're building at your startup called Visionary.
Okay, I would like to start from the beginning because we do our solution specifically for electric distribution grids, and uh, we do a novel energy storage plus cloud service solution for electric utility companies in the US. Uh, it eliminates the need for costly grid modernization projects to cover peak consumption and bidirectional energy flows because utilities constantly need to upgrade their infrastructure to provide stable and reliable power supply. So they spend a lot of money, a lot of time for this process, and they do it the same way that they did it in Thomas Edison's time. So they built new substations, new power grid circuits. And I hope we will bring something real new on this rather conservative industry.
Yeah, I just find that fascinating, and there's something so interesting. What I do as a designer, so often it's just all digital. A lot of times I'll work, with physical things in the physical space, but a majority of it is digital. You pull the plug that's dependent on the power grid, and then poof, it's gone. So it's just so interesting and fascinating to be working with actual hardware, physical products as well. So that's really interesting, but. I would think, someone who is an electrical engineer might be, founding a company like this. But your background, or for other startups, a lot of times the founder, their background is in engineering or their background is in sales. But your background is rare, or at least from my perspective. So how did you go from being an architect to being a designer to being CEO of Visionary?
Okay, it's a long story actually, but yeah, in a nutshell, um, uh, I, s- I started studying at the university as a future architect. Yeah, I love architecture, and so sometimes I will come back in this industry. And in parallel with this education process, I started my first startup. We I met my co-founder, and we started to build our own version of Tesla's Roadster. Yeah, fancy electric sports car. But we were just students, and we didn't realize that we have to have a lot of money for creating our own version of Tesla's Roadster. Um, and long story short, we failed at two startups, and then we started our third startup in 2021. Um, so yeah, uh, it's it happened accidentally. Uh, I mean, shifting from architecture to startup founder.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I think from my experience, there is some overlap between architecture and design, at least. And I feel like there's numerous people that I know who maybe started out in architecture and ended up in design, and I think there's a lot of overlap just in the interests of designers and architects as well, just caring about beauty, caring about function, and that sort of thing. So it definitely makes sense. So thanks for sharing that background too with trying to rebuild that or trying to create your own Tesla Roadster and your other startups as well. So one of the things when I found you online and I noticed Visionary's website, and it just stood out to me as exceptional. And so I was wondering how investing in design as an early stage startup, how that affects different KPIs that you care about, like revenue and funding.
Uh, well. I think design is not just fancy pictures, and it's more than fancy pictures. It's how your product or service works. Uh, and yeah, based on my experience, it uh, okay. Um, many people uh, many people have uh, a mindset that the electric industry works this way. Yeah, but I mean, centralized. It's absolutely centralized and rigid, and we are trying to bring something, some sort of decentralization, yeah, and flexibility on the market through our solution. And when I tell them, hey guys, we do our solution specifically for distribution grids. Yeah, and they, hey, we know Teslas do the same for distribution grids, placing their solution behind the meter, but um, um, compare it to other companies, we do it for behind, in front of the meter installation. Yeah, so it's on the grid, not on the customer side, energy consumer side. And it's pretty uh, difficult to explain in couple sentences. Yeah, why we do it, what it, what benefits are there, and design helps us to explain it through our visual identity, through our visual elements, and yeah, when people see our website, for example, they usually say, "Hey, it's really fresh," and it uh, catches their attention, and then they start asking me more and more questions. But this main first step is already done. They interested in our solution. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's well said. I I love what you said about design is so much more than just a fancy looking website, but at the same time, that fancy website is so important to catch someone's attention and to make a good first impression. But it's just that first touch point. If you're truly invested in design, it's only a first touch point, and your entire company is in every aspect is thinking about design, is thinking about the user, thinking about the human experience behind it. So it's definitely not isolated to your website, but design is an extension of your website. But it's so critical to make that first impression to get someone's attention, because attention is such a rare commodity these days, and you really have to, people will bounce off of your website, within seconds if you lose them, if you're confusing, if you're for any number of reasons. And so yeah, I like how you put that. What do you think is the danger of under investing in design as a startup?
Well, actually, design, it's let's be honest, design, it's not. vital element of your product. If you bring something real new on the market, and it uh, it solves problems, yeah, it will work. It will bring you money, yeah, and uh, sorry, yeah, exactly. But design helps you to sell better, sell more, and sell for higher price. Um, and yeah, I think it's important, especially it's important if you play on the high competitive market, because let's say this way, many companies, numerous companies, do the same things on the AI industry. Yeah, and it's crucial for them to show their products differently to their customers. Um, and design, yeah, certainly design helps this way to demonstrate uh, benefits uh, more freshy, clear, and yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of really competitive markets, and I totally agree that design is a way to stand out in a highly competitive market, um, and also to charge more. And of course, as a business owner, it's always wonderful to be able to charge more for what you're selling. Obviously you need to be providing value, but yeah, to be able to sell that for more and have higher margins, that's amazing. You kind of inspired me though, and because I mentioned how a lot of different, lots of markets are competitive, highly competitive. Is there anything in your mind that you think of as a market that is not very competitive right now?
That's a good question, actually. A lot of startups on the market, but yeah, um, I have some. I have one more example where about design and its importance to startups and well-established companies. Um, Last year, I talked with a product designer at pretty well-established startup in Europe. I don't remember exactly its name, but I mean startup's name. Uh, they did um, um, delivery robots, yeah, for food delivering and items delivering, and they suffered. Uh, they didn't have uh, well uh, made design for. I mean, not um, design as a website. Yeah, I mean design, industrial design for their robots, and they uh, they were spending a lot of money and time for assembling their robots, and uh, they were looking for some solution, some related to design. Yeah, how to make their machines faster for assembling, cheaper for producing, and yeah, it's crucial. It was crucial for them to implement good design in their product, because yeah, it's physical things and it costs a lot. And with good design, you can save a lot of money make it better compared to your competitors. So yeah, actually, it's not only about bring some attention, uh, uh, make more sales. It's like it goes through the whole processes in a company.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have heard of many stories in, say, industrial design and physical product design where applying design principles and creative and innovative thinking, applying design thinking, helps companies come up with just ideas that no one would have thought of, just intuitively, but through exploration, through ideation, through coming up with 99 bad ideas, that 100th idea just is incredible, saves the company money, makes people's lives better, ends up being a great product. And once you get there, once you get through those 99 bad ideas and you get to that 100th one that's incredible, then it's like, oh, I should have always known this. It seems obvious then once you find it, but then the journey to getting there is can be quite long. But I like how you put that. I was wondering for Visionary, for your company, are there any ways that design has paid off for your startup?
Um, it's quite difficult to estimate it right now, but it definitely helps us to show that we do something different compared to other players on the market. Yeah, just through visual style. And uh, I hope in future we will test it because we spend enough resources for industrial design of our product. Yeah, we improved safety, we improved user friendly things. I mean, like how to connect it to the grid without needs for modernization process. Um, yeah, we will test it, and I will share these results with you. Um, but yeah, for today, it's more about digital design. I mean, website, PDFs with our materials related to our product. Yeah, and definitely design in this process, in sales process, in fundraising process, definitely helps us. Um, at least uh, catching attention uh, from our potential customers and VC funds guys.
Absolutely. And I think design is and how design can benefit sales is kind of an underrepresented or maybe an undervalued approach, or an undervalued approach to design, because design is also about, it's about getting attention, and it's also about communicating clearly as well, and having memorable, beautiful, clearly communicated, well said assets for your sales. That's going to really boost your sales in the longer term, to be able to communicate your vision, to communicate what does your product do, especially if it's something that is novel and something that is new, and there's people don't really understand it yet, and it's really at that forefront of innovation. That's when you really need to be able to sell that and communicate that, and design is can really supplement and
Yeah,
help
exactly.
sales.
And design doesn't exist uh, out of other companies' processes. I mean, I spent over a year, maybe less, maybe more, just to try and understand how to show our startup. Yeah, um, how to create this. identity for our startup, for our product, and how to explain what we do, not through just words, but through visual style, how it looks like, and yeah, it's really a long process that requires uh, a lot of research of the market, communication with potential customers, and I constantly um, work with other startup founders, and uh, during this design process, um, many founders um, start to understand their product better. Yeah, because even if we help them to tailor a pitch deck, for example, I usually I have dozens of questions before I start to do a small presentation for investors. So, and many founders stuck on this process because they don't have answers for many questions. Yeah, and this design process, when they go through this, uh, they realize that they should know more about market, customers, problem, and they usually take some time to find out this what happens on the market in their industry, for example. So yeah, it's not about uh, user friendly design or fancy stuff. It's also about this long term process in minds of C-suite guys, yeah, or founders. I think it's clear. I mean,
Yeah, you remind me of what I was saying earlier, just about how sometimes with the creative process, it takes a long time to get to the simple, elegant solution, and then once you're there, then it's kind of, it seems obvious, but that journey getting there takes a long time, and so that you reminded me of that when you're talking about designing the website for Visionary and how it took you a long time to really figure out how to understand it, how to what's the problem, how to communicate that visually, what's the identity around that. And I think too, a lot of times founders with their idea for their startup, it all makes sense in their head, but then once you're, like you're saying with the pitch decks, once it's actually getting out there, other people have a lot of questions, and it, even though it makes sense in the founder's head, it's still, there's a lot of gaps in between. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But one question I have for you: what do you think CEOs misunderstand about design?
uh, it's a good question because I'm not this kind of CEO. Uh, uh, okay, yeah, but based on my background of communication with different people, mostly with startup founders, um, they don't uh, they underestimate design. I mean, uh, they don't pay attention on design process. They think more about fundraising and sales, but design, I think design uh, really helps in both this processes, fundraising and sales. So uh, have I answered your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of similar question, but slightly different. What advice do you have for other startups? just in general?
Advice to other co-founders: uh, pay attention to good design. I mean, not just fancy AI generated pictures, but yeah, but design as a process, through uh, through your company, through your startup, how people uh, are thinking, uh, what they do, and yeah, especially if they do something real technological. I mean, deep tech. Uh, AI probably is a deep tech too. Um, yeah, pay attention on design.
How would you say that they can do that?
Phew. I don't have answer for this question. Yeah, it's really really difficult, because um, it's it's a way of thinking, how you um, how you feel, what you do, and your clients. I mean, uh, uh, not just bring some ordinary um, solution for them, but bring something new. Um, and yeah, don't hesitate to do it. Yeah, because the other thing that I constantly see on the market, that startup founders just trying to copy um, existing solutions, and make and draw fancy buttons, and maybe change some colors, but uh, it's not design actually. It's just, yeah, drawing. Yeah, open Figma, because design truly should change approaches, and make products better. I mean, not just yeah, fancy stuff, but also all these processes in a product, from uh, uh, from authorization point to add new features. Yeah, it's rather uh, difficult and, yeah, complex things.
Okay, so you're telling me that every time Stripe or Linear redesign their website and then 100 other startups copy the website, that's not design?
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about how, like, I've seen like 100 different websites that look, almost identical to Linear, and I'm like, is this Linear's website, or Stripe will update their design, and then boom, all of a sudden, there's 100 other like clones, of the Stripe website that look almost identical. So no, I really like what you're saying about how it's so much more than just, fresh design is more than just a fresh coat of paint on the exterior. It's thinking about the entire experience of
yeah,
the user. It's thinking about, yeah, a full spectrum, not just a layer of paint.
yeah, because design for me, it's architecture is a design too. Yeah, just we design buildings, and yeah, many people um, think that design is just facade of these buildings, but in fact, it's much more complex thing. It's uh, plans, it's um, engineering stuff, it's constructions, and all this uh, design. Yeah, and changing uh, um, buttons or colors on your website. It's good, probably, but does it bring some new in your product, or maybe it helps to explain your product better. And I saw a joke that everyone believed that AI could bring a new level of creativity in the industry. Yeah, and almost every startup, uh, AI startup, they use this star. Yeah, they use the same element every time, and yeah, there is no way for a new kind of creativity.
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. That's totally true. I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, I think that those are all the questions that I have, and I really am. Thanks so much for your time. It's been an honor. Really appreciate you taking the time to share all this with me and with everybody else who will consume this content. And I really like what you're up to at Visionary. It just seems like the power grid is obviously, well, very, maybe it's not obvious because we're so used to power being accessible that we don't even think about it, but it's as critical, for a modern way of life anyway, as food or water or air. And I certainly don't want to go back to the Stone Ages. And so it's really interesting and there's a lot of problems with the power grid. So it's really interesting what you're working on, and I'm rooting for you. And we definitely need your solutions. So yeah, thanks for your time, Constantine, and really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Phil.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more about how to grow your business with design, go to gotimehq.com.